The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast, is brought to you by, well, of course, you. If you want to learn more about how you can support the show, go to patreon.com/thearena_podcast.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into The Arena, multi-platform gaming news podcast. This is episode 72. I'm your host, Expat, along with my co-hosts, Burly of Burly and Gaming on Twitch, and Turn-Based Carl. Burly, how you doing?
Doing good. Feels like I've been talking for over an hour.
Yeah, you guys don't know out there, listening on audio and watching on video. We had a technical issue. My internet crashed, and so I had to work things out. So it's been about an hour since we tried to record the beginning of the episode. But anyway, so Carl, how you doing, man? Doing good? Sorry for the wait, man.
I'm sad because I had a great little bit with my Atari Lynx right here. Just everyone, if you're watching, you can see it. But it's dead now.
So
I can't do it again.
Yeah.
It's not going to work a second time. So, whatever.
Yeah, well, that's my bad. It's like my computer crashed on me,
Yeah.
So what can I say? All right, so, yeah. I hate computer crashes. Well, first, let me talk about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about Sony purchasing Bungie for $3.6 billion. We're going to talk about that. And, of course, the Nintendo Switch has now surpassed the Wii in overall sales. We're going to talk about that. And then for our topic of the show, we're going to talk about acquisition wars. So we're going to talk about that. And of course, the new game releases for the week of February 7th through the 13th. So we'll be getting to that. But before we get to that and what we've been playing, here's a brief message about where you can find the podcast.
Before the crew discuss what they've been playing, this episode of The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast, and the post-show, in audio and video formats, will be going to Patreon in early access for one day after recording. So if you would like to support the show and become a patron at the entry Tier 1 level at $1 per month and get early access to every episode and post-show in audio and video formats, as well as watch or listen ad-free, please visit patreon.com/thearena_podcast for further details. Weekly on Sundays, the podcast will be uploaded to all free podcast services. Weekly on Wednesdays for the post-show, where you can find us on any podcast app for iOS or Android, Spotify, Amazon Music, and in video format on our YouTube channel, The Arena Productions. For the audio version, just download your favorite podcast app or open Spotify and search for The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast. Subscribe, follow us, post a review, and leave us questions, comments, and feedback if you like, if that feature is available there, and spread the word about the podcast. We also have a Discord called The Arena Podcast, where you can join and chat with the Arena Podcast community, and the podcast website is at thearenapodcast.podbean.com, where you can follow us and leave questions and comments as well. Finally, you can also follow us on Twitter at The Arena AMPGNP, as well as on Instagram at The Arena_podcast. Now, back to the show.
Okay, guys. I started playing a game called Telling Lies. I don't know if you heard of that. It's It's out on Game Pass now. I started playing that today. I'm almost finished with it. It's another interactive game where basically you're opening up these like not leaked, but like video footage that supposedly this FBI agent had been using. That's all I'm going to say about the game because I don't want to give any spoilers about it, but I'm almost at the end and it's fun. It's from Annapurna Interactive. So yeah, it's on Game Pass. It originally came out in 2019, but yeah, now it's on Game Pass. So that's what I've been playing, man. So, Carl, what have you been playing?
Yeah, I heard about that game on another podcast. That they said good stuff about it.
Yeah.
I've been playing. Okay, I checked out 2 of the Xbox acquisitions, older ones, Tango and Compulsion. So I checked out Evil Within 2.
Okay.
It was 60 frames per second and the FPS boost. And I mean, it runs great. It looks great. I do not like that story at all. I don't like the setup at all. I don't find it interesting. And maybe I should have played the first game. I don't know. Couldn't tell you if I need to. I looked briefly into like what happened, and I don't know if it makes a difference or not. I just don't really appreciate the fact that like everything that's happening in that game is happening in like some like mind link world, like some sort of virtual connection that they created, and people can go into it, and I guess you can die in there. It's almost like the Matrix in some ways. But gameplay is kind of it's fun once you get into it. It takes a bit of a while to get into like the core of that gameplay. But then it's basically Resident Evil sort of mixed with The Last of Us, actually, because there's a lot of stealth to it. You even have the same mechanic of like I have an axe and it's like an auto one-hit kill, but it breaks, that type of thing. So, it's all right. I think the writing is pretty bad. I don't care for it at all. So, and then Contrast is I actually see the potential there. It's very janky feeling. Yeah. Visually, it's interesting, but it's not amazing. It's a cool little like sort of puzzle story driven thing where your character can jump into the shadows on the walls.
Yeah,
and you can. Then the shadows are basically where you platform, and you can manipulate those shadows previously, like by moving something like a light or something that's being shown into the light, creating a shadow that can be moved. And sometimes the shadows are like a moving thing, so you got to like jump on it as it moves.
Right.
It's interesting. I like it. I don't. It's not enough that I want to play the whole game. But the story I think is like the tone of it is a more mature thing. Like it's about this girl whose like parents are separated and like they're she's finding out secrets about them, like why the father was thinks the father left, but he was kicked out because he was a bad guy, or he's not really the father, and blah blah blah, like whatever. All this drama. It's like it isn't. I do appreciate that tone of a story. It's just, again, I'm not super compelled by it, but I see the potential in what they can do with a bigger budget.
Yeah, that game originally came out for, I think, PlayStation 4's launch. I think that was a game back in 2013, I think is when it originally came out. So, yeah, cool. All right, Burly, what have you been playing, man?
Mine's been simple. Pokemon Legends Arceus. I've been streaming the game.
Still playing that, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, still playing it. I've only been playing it on stream, and then like I went back on Judgment, did a few little things on Judgment, and then soon start up on my own personal time. Life is Strange, True Colors, and then once I beat that, go to Lost Judgment.
Okay, I see. Awesome. Okay, let's get right into it for the weekly news beat. Of course, Sony had a lot of stuff this week. Obviously, the big news was the acquisition of Bungie for $3.6 million. But we also had a state of play this week, which was interesting. And, Burly and I, we showed it on the morning show. Gran Turismo 7 was shown. And of course, Burly was upset because, Ghostwire Tokyo was also having some game reveal footage this week, as well as more Horizon. And he thought, they should have put that into the state of play as well. But we had the state of play. But obviously, the big news was, Sony's acquisition of Bungie for $3.6 million. So, Carl, I'm going to throw this at you first. So, was 3.6 billion too much?
I mean, yes and no. It's a lot of money, and I don't personally see that as what that should have cost. But in the current climate, I definitely understand why it costs that much.
Yeah.
Bungie, you're getting Destiny, and that's kind of it, right?
Right.
And whatever other IP that they're working on next, which is already, as we know that they've said that they're not going to make these games exclusive, but it's easy to say that when you have a service game that is already multi-platform, that that they're not going to take off. Nobody seems to be doing that, right? Microsoft's not doing that. They're not taking service games away. And
I just want to stop you right there, Carl, real quick. All of you audio listeners out there, you're probably wondering what all those screams are. Okay, that's Carl's baby.
Yeah, I don't know how to do anything about it.
Yeah. So, Carl's baby is up, and when she's moving around, man, she's a screamer. So, yeah. Just to let you know about that. Go ahead, Carl. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh god, back to where I was. I lost track of it, man. It's gone. Lost my thought. Killed me, man. Killed me.
You're talking about the
right, the exclusivity.
The exclusive, yes.
It's easy to say that you're going to continue to put your games, wherever that they're going to have freedom to do that. God damn this! I got to do something about that.
Okay, yeah.
When the current game and then the next game is very likely already in production, already going to be on the other platforms as a service game, like. You're not telling me anything because the next game after that could potentially be exclusive is probably like 5-10 years away. Who knows how far away, right?
Right. Yeah. And Sony also said about the acquisition too that there will be 10 live service games with Bungie's help as well.
Oh my
god. Yeah. All you listeners out there, Carl's baby is really adamant about Sony purchasing Bungie.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, Burly, anyway, what do you think about this acquisition? Was 3.6 billion too much?
I have to agree with Carl. Yes, it's too much. But in the climate of the world of these big acquisitions, this is just what it's going to be. Like, this I could have seen more if they still owned a piece of Halo and some of their older franchises, because like Bungie owns nothing. Like the franchises that made Bungie big are gone. They don't know. They don't have They don't have Marathon anymore. They don't have Myth, if anyone remembers the Myth series, because they sold that off. They don't have Halo. All they have is Destiny and whatever they come out with next. But there has been a small little news story that I did link to you guys in the private DMs, that it says Bungie was working with Google. They were in talks about some streaming stuff, and as we know, Sony is trying to work and get Spartacus up. So that might be why they would want them, because if they have some tech, Bungie may have some tech or some knowledge there. If that can help Sony out, it could make it understand why they would spend the 3.6 billion and why you'd want to acquire them. Like, I'm still flabbergasted because, like, not to say that Destiny is bad, Destiny makes money, and you do have now, Sony does have a studio that can make them a first-person shooter and stuff like that. Oh shit, I lost.
See, that's the thing. Do they have a studio that can make a first-person shooter?
Well, they have.
Yes, sort of, because they already are making one. But like, what new project? They have a new project coming, right?
But don't they have the guys that own the Killzone?
Like they're tied down games already. Yeah. Okay. Wait. You think Bungie's going to make a Killzone game?
No, I meant like they do have someone to make them a first-person shooter, but it was like those Killzone games. But those games fell out of popularity quite quick.
Yeah, but I mean, I think one of the reasons Sony bought Bungie was also because of Sony Pictures, Sony is going to do something with the Bungie franchise. And I know, Carl, you were talking about this. It probably wouldn't work out very well in a sense. I mean, what can Bungie be in like a TV series or like, in a movie?
Destiny.
But
I mean, there's always potential in everything, right? But like me personally, I don't see it. I know people argue for it.
I don't
love
either.
it. Yeah, they're like, oh, the lore is so deep. And I'm like, that's great. Who are your characters?
Mm-hmm.
To me, I care about characters. And like the difference in like Halo and why that is more obviously has the potential is you have Master Chief and you have Cortana as your main characters. And everybody is easy to recognize that those are strong characters.
Right.
League of Legends and Arcane. I mean, like, I think the character design in League of Legends is fantastic. And and it's easy to see why you were able to do something cool with that in Arcane.
Right.
As far as like the Sony saying they want to do 10 like service games in the next by 2026 in the next 4 years they want to have 10 service games. And how Bungie is supposed to help them with that, I'm like, I don't understand because Bungie is working on Destiny 2 content, and they are working on a new IP. So, what are they also going to be a support studio for all of the various Sony service projects? I don't really kind of get that.
Probably more just as advisors where they can throw as they're getting their ideas for their live service games. Probably be like, okay, you've done live service. What do you think of this? And Bungie will tell them, yeah, this worked for us, this didn't. That's about all I could see because Bungie's pretty maxed out. Unless Destiny 2 is dying. But because they've got an expansion in what
Which
yeah,
it
no, it's not. You got an expansion in 15 days, and then there's another one this year. Destiny 2, then they're supporting Destiny 2 for 10 years, wasn't it? Or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah. At least through 2024, I think. They're going to be coming out with expansions. So
it's valuable.
Who knows when Destiny 3 is coming out?
I mean, maybe never, right? Like Destiny is a service game. It has a lot of value in that. Like there's a lot of money coming in. I mean, it's more similar to Microsoft buying Mojang than anything else.
Right. And the Mojang deal was like 1.9 billion, I think it was. Yeah, something.
I don't remember. Yeah, might have been, I thought it was 2.4. I don't know.
It's
in that range,
somewhere in there.
Yeah. And they definitely got a better deal on that because the Minecraft IP is better IP.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how you look at it, but obviously in the wider scope, Minecraft hits a bigger demographic. It has a lot of potential merchandise wise. Now, the movie, I don't know what happened to that. I wanted to see that. I would love to see what they were going to do, but man, that's sort of disappeared a long time ago.
Yeah. So
it's
what interests me about all this is how long was Sony in negotiations with Bungie?
2.5 billion.
A lot of people are saying, this was a reactionary move.
Okay.
What's that, Burly? 2.5 billion. The Mojang deal.
2.5. Okay, thanks. So, I mean, this, I think, was partially a reactionary deal. Obviously, because of the Activision deal, that Microsoft, purchasing them. But know that you just don't make acquisitions overnight. So they probably had Bungie in mind for a long time. To try to acquire them.
I think it was said somewhere that maybe it was about 5 to 6 months that they had been already talking about this deal.
Yeah.
And I mean, reactionary, doesn't really, I don't know if there's any reactionary bit to it because if they were already in the progress of this deal and they don't, who knows if they knew anything about the Activision deal.
Well, let me rephrase that.
I don't really know.
The expediency of it all. Maybe.
It definitely seems possible that maybe they're like, all right, let's pull the trigger, right? Like this deal has been in the process, but they're like, all right, let's lock it up
and announce it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a possibility for something like that.
Yeah,
but Yeah, I don't know what this really gets them other than cash flow. I mean, it's money coming in. Bungie doesn't have to worry about finding investors anymore. Okay.
Yeah, well, they have that first-person shooter now that they desperately needed, I think. So, I mean, where they go from here, I mean, Jim Ryan, he's already saying that we're not finished with acquisitions. We're continuing. So, and what was it? Jeff Keighley came out with a tweet saying that he had confirmed sources saying that there are more acquisitions coming in the pipeline and that 2022 is going to be a very interesting year. Obviously he didn't mention whether it was PlayStation or Xbox's side, but I would tend to think it was probably more on the PlayStation side because Keighley is more attuned to, being kind of in the same house as PlayStation, so to speak. So
yeah, was it Jim Ryan? I don't remember. Someone from Sony during this deal said that.
Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan said that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, who's that going to be? Is it going to be something big? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Who knows? Yeah.
Everybody's got their theories of it's going to be Capcom or Square Enix.
No, Microsoft can have Capcom.
I don't know if they're going.
I'll let Microsoft buy Capcom, so I never have to buy a Capcom game in my life.
Burly, I knew you were going to say that as soon as Carl said Capcom.
Yeah. Yeah. Square Enix makes the most sense, but only on the Japanese side, right? Because there's, I mean, I guess, it's good to have Crystal Dynamics, but they're working on.
It makes more sense for Microsoft to purchase them, I think, because they really want to get a better standing here in Japan. We've talked about this forever. Xbox is wanting to do better in Japan. Well, what better way to do it than to acquire Square Enix? Then you have a legit, company with those studios
that does both big in Japan and the West.
I don't think that. I don't think that it seems very hostile for Microsoft to buy Square Enix, just because I mean a lot of those games are exclusive to a Sony platform or a Nintendo platform. It feels like you're trying to take something away at that point, more so than these other companies like Activision Blizzard, who is always putting games on Xbox, and it's not new. Nothing's different. They're not making exclusivity deals even much. Activision is just everywhere. But,
and then of course there's Nintendo, obviously, and the Nintendo CEO is coming out and basically saying, well, we're just going to be doing exactly what we've been doing forever, just making deals with third parties, and we're not going to acquire big companies and do that and go down that route. They're just going to just keep chugging along the way they are and coming out with their own first party titles in most cases. So and then of course the news this week that the Nintendo Switch has now surpassed the Wii U. The Wii, I'm sorry.
Well,
the Wii
it has surpassed the Wii U.
So not the Wii U, definitely. Not the Wii U, no way. Yes. So the Switch has now surpassed the Wii in sales. And their reports came out for sales on Metroid Dread as well. So what do you guys think of that? You have 3 iterations of the Switch. You have the original Switch, and then you had the kind of the upgraded Switch there, and then the OLED model plus the Switch Lite. So, you would kind of have to put an asterisk beside that, sales figure when they've surpassed the Wii, I think. But I don't know. It's after the Wii U, I mean, and that disastrous failure that the Wii U was, I think it was a pretty good bounce back. And it's not finished yet. I mean, there's probably possibly another year or so left in the Switch, but Burly would say otherwise. He thinks that the Switch Pro is going to be coming out sometime this year.
I think it'll get announced.
I don't know. We shall see. But
I said announced this year.
Announced. Okay. Announced. So what do you guys think of the Switch now surpassing the Wii? Burly, I'll start with you on this one.
Okay. It's no surprising. Nintendo has done very well with this. You know, there's some stuff I don't like what they've done. They've done it well, and the pandemic has helped this system. It has helped this system a lot. Like, Animal Crossing would not... I don't think Animal Crossing wouldn't have done as well if we didn't have the global pandemic. I wasn't going to pick it up, but the pandemic, I picked that up, and I had a lot of fun. I put like 50, 60 hours into Animal Crossing. A lot of fun. So that you've got that. Then you have their Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because that came out like within the first year of the Switch. It sold okay for the Switch, but then with the pandemic, that thing shot up. And it was all... like, they have done well with the pandemic, and since Switches, you can find them easily, it has helped. It's like, can't get the PS5, can't get a Series X or a Series S. I can get a Switch. I never thought about buying a Switch. There's like 50 games. There's so many games out there. It's already got a big library and a ton of hits. I'll just pick this up and get a bunch. And it's helped it. And then with Nintendo just they have been putting out quality titles for it. It just helps.
Right. Speaking of availability, Carl, didn't you tweet about going to a local Target in your area and saying there were practically no consoles on the shelves?
Yeah,
and
every time
Switch
I go,
being one of them?
I like to just swing by and take a look at what's there. And actually, the last time I was there, I didn't write again. Changed from last time. There were a couple of Switches were sold, and they had 5 more Xbox Series S's in. So it's interesting. Like, that's the thing, is that the Series S's are there. People are buying them because they're in stock. Because there's no PS5s, there's no PS4s, and there's not even a lot of Switches. Like, people are getting what's available.
Right.
But yeah, as far as surpassing the Wii, I mean, it's an accomplishment for Nintendo, right? If you think about, when you look at compared to Nintendo consoles, right, it makes sense. That's a good comparison. But my problem with talking about this is how people are looking at it as like in comparison to like, next up is PS4. They're going to surpass PS4 in sales, and it's like. But like, it's a different market. It's portable, right? And people are like, no, it's hybrid. It's hybrid. I'm like, it doesn't matter. They hit a different market that you don't hit. And if you look at the Japanese sales, that's really important, because I think it was like 24 million or something. I forgot. Maybe it was more. Switches in Japan, which is a huge, huge number. That the consoles, like, I don't think did PS4 sell that many. I don't know how many they sold, but in Japan, probably not 24 million
right now.
No.
Yeah, if you want to look it up, while I go on about that, there's not a real reason to compare the Switch to that, because you're not comparing apples to apples anymore. It's like, I feel like it's a very console war like sort of thing to be like, yeah, my Switch is surpassing the PS4 soon in sales. Okay, you can't put the PS4 in your pocket and go somewhere. So like, it's not.
Yeah, it's about 10 million in Japan. PS4.
Yeah.
See, there you go. It's so easy to see why. Like, that they took Nintendo was brilliant in this decision, and what they did that worked so well is they said, all right, our portable market, the DS, 3DS market, like, that's huge. It always has been. But we have all these developers working there, and we have a home console, and we have different developers working here. If we made that one platform and everyone develops all for that one platform, we get more games on our one platform. and there you go. You're done. You have one platform across all of it that has tons of great games, that gets people who used to buy a 3DS and people who used to buy a Wii or a Wii U all into the same place.
I think that the Switch should be in the same category as a handheld, personally. I mean, I think more people play it in handheld mode than they do in docking mode, especially kids, and especially kids out here in Japan. You know, they don't ever have that thing docked. So
Right.
To me, honestly, my opinion is the Switch is a handheld, and it should be considered a handheld. You know, everybody says, "Oh, it's a hybrid." Yeah, well, technically, yes. I mean, yes, but come on. I mean, it's a handheld. That's what I think Nintendo developed it to truly be, more of a handheld device than a docking device. And I think when it comes to the DS, the 3DS, the Vita, it should be in that category with them when it comes to sales numbers, things like that. But yeah, that's a different point. But anyway,
it's just like comparing it doesn't make sense, and like you can't even really compare it to the other portables, because again, it hits another market that they don't. It's like if you want to call it a hybrid, which I understand, then you have to compare it to other hybrids, and since they really don't exist, you know, there's no one to compare it to, and it just like, why are we having that discussion? Like, let's not frame it that way, that like, oh, it's going to surpass this other different thing in sales. I'm like, that's great. Yeah. I mean, does the PS4 sell more than Roku? They're both streaming devices.
Excuse me. Yeah.
I mean, like, does it matter?
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah. So,
well, I think Nintendo.
I mean, Nintendo is Nintendo, and
go ahead. I think Nintendo should just be held in a different thing, because they're such a just different. They've always been different. They're always going to be different, because they're not the same like Sony and Microsoft. And Sony and Microsoft are not the same. Yeah. They're just, Nintendo does what they're going to do. So like go.
Yeah, they play differently.
They play differently, and they always will play differently. Their thing is a hybrid.
Yeah.
Whether you want to count it as put it with handhelds or consoles, or in a weird, I think it should just be in its own category for Nintendo, because Nintendo is just doing what they're going to do. Their own difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're on this other track right now. And I generally think that when you look at these sales, they're never going back to anything else.
They're not going to release a hand.
They're never, like, why
a console separate. That would be stupid.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense, because then you're fracturing your market again.
Yeah.
So the next Switch successor is just going to be another portable, hybrid, whatever you want to call it, a thing that you can, that is portable literally like portable hardware that you can then plug into a TV. Like, that's because that's the thing you got to look at. Like, that hardware is limited by the fact that it has to run off of a certain amount of power that can only be generated by a battery. So you can't put, you know, your high end GPUs in there and CPUs, because they draw too much power, and your device would die in, like, you know, minutes.
Yeah. Well, just like you were saying, Carl, you were saying they're not going to acquire, you know, more studios, because those AAA games wouldn't even be able to run on the Switch anyway. So
yeah, exactly. Like, what? So, why would you buy? You know, we can retool the entire studio to make, like, you know, sub Xbox One, PS4, you know, level games. Like,
Burly, could you just imagine like Horizon Forbidden West on a Switch?
I don't want to imagine that. That's a nightmare. Like, come on, they're barely getting Assassin's Creed 2 from the Xbox 360 PS3 to work on the Switch.
Yeah, right.
I don't even want to imagine Horizon or even like 2016 just Ratchet and Clank.
Keep porting indies to it, you know.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Switch is great for indies, turn-based RPGs.
Yeah.
That you're not necessarily huge on the graphics, if you're, and just good games like that on the go. And then Nintendo first party, because Nintendo's first party has all the resources and access to get everything out of that hardware.
Right.
But I think they may up their game a bit, because we now have the Steam Deck coming, and that thing's got quite the power for the price range it's coming in. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects them and how much they're willing to up with the next Switch. But knowing Nintendo, it's just going to be a small improvement. It's nothing going to be revolutionary. We're like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think Nintendo even has the Steam Deck on their radar.
Yeah,
they don't even care about that.
I don't think they care.
They don't care.
It's totally different. They're not. The Steam Deck can't succeed in the same way that Nintendo does because of first party. Like Nintendo sells so many first party games. They make so much money off of software. Steam Deck, I mean, I actually don't see the business model of how it's going to work because you're selling that thing at a loss, right? We know that hardware is definitely should be more expensive. So it's then going to require you to have to buy more Steam games than you already would have. But I don't think I feel like the Steam Deck is going to be mostly a companion device for a lot of people who want to play their Steam games on the go. So they're probably not going to buy more or significantly more than they do. How are they going to get that market? Are they going to get new users, tons of new users buying games? I think
it's more just to keep you in the Steam market because Epic has been doing some interesting strategy of getting the games cheaper onto Epic than Valve, and they're taking less of a cut Epic has on their storefront. So a lot of developers are getting more friendlier with Epic. So they're wanting to just keep you, we give you this portability device, we sell it to you at a reasonable price, get you in. You're more wanting to put Steam stuff because you got the Steam button and all that, keep you in. I could buy Cyberpunk on Epic and save $10, but it's already right here. I don't have to install Epic. I don't have to go do this. Steam's already built in here. I can just click a button and I can have it. I think that's more what they're trying to do is just make it so easy for you to just keep easily purchasing in them, and you have this cool little neat device. Like for me, I'm just going to be using it. Hey, I don't have to lug a laptop or have a gaming laptop when I'm on the go and I want to play certain Steam games, and then just with the xCloud, if I can get that working on the browser, if I can want to, hey, I'm just in my bed. I want to play a couple minutes of Forza, drive around. I don't want to install 100 gigs, move my Series S into my bedroom, all this and that. I can just play Forza for a couple minutes.
Right. Is it a closed platform, Steam OS?
No. From what I remember.
So is there Yeah. So is there anything preventing Epic from just being like, here's the Epic Store on
Epic.
Steam Deck.
Epic's been trying to do that. They're trying to remind people to get them. And Valve's saying they're not closing the door, but I think Valve's just trying to make it so it's so easy for you to get into Steam on this thing. To make you, even though you can load,
I mean, it's going to be
even though you can
main interface.
Can load Epic on there. You've got to now click out of there, go into another window, and get into Epic. So it's just like more work than a lot of people, because a lot of people are lazy. So they will just go for the convenience.
Yeah, but they'll just want to play Fortnite on there.
Yeah. Well, especially out here in Japan. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Fortnite is huge with the kids.
With the youths.
Fortnite.
With the youths. That's right. Okay, guys, let's move on now. Topic of the show. Acquisitions. So, of course, now Sony countered this last week with, with their acquisition of Bungie. And of course, previously, Microsoft had acquired Activision, which is now going to be under review by the Federal Trade Commission. Yeah. But, everybody talks about console wars. And, it's like buying all these consoles and how many and the numbers of consoles that are bought. And, that really doesn't matter anymore. This is going to be a content war as to whether Xbox or PlayStation has, more AAA titles coming from these development studios that they've acquired through acquiring these big companies. And then of those games that come out, their streaming services, where Xbox, of course, has Game Pass right now. PlayStation, most likely in the near future, will have their what's codenamed Spartacus at the moment. They'll be coming out with their streaming service as well. Who knows what Stadia and, Luna are going to do in that, regard as well. But I'm sure they're probably going to, be involved in this fight as well. But, yeah, and Nintendo, just like we've talked about, of course, Nintendo, they don't care. They're not going to get into this. Nintendo is Nintendo. So this is really an acquisition war now. And we're probably not finished with it in 2022. We're probably going to see more of it. But, yeah. What do you guys think of this? I mean, don't you agree? This is more about, who's going to have a better subscription service because of these acquisitions. I mean, what do you think? Carl, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, the subscription thing makes the most sense, actually, when you think about these acquisitions, and specifically a big one like Activision Blizzard King, right?
Yeah.
You can, because now you don't have to negotiate and you don't have to pay them to get those games on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Right. So you save all of that money, and now it's just given, and everyone knows that your service includes everything that those companies make. Right. For the most part. I mean, obviously, like some Blizzard stuff is PC only. You're gonna have to. You'll probably port stuff. Are you gonna put Candy Crush on Xbox? I don't know. Maybe some version of that. If that's not a thing already, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Versus PlayStation, buying Bungie, right, as the example.
Mm-hmm.
What does that do for their streaming service? We don't know yet because, are they going to include Destiny's expansions, let's say, for free in their streaming service one day?
Yeah.
That would be a big deal. That would be a big advantage, right? If you're a Destiny player, you're probably going to want to go with that because you're going to sign up. If you're going to spend that money anyway, why not get this PlayStation, Spartacus service and get all the other stuff with it?
Yeah, I mean, this exclusivity stuff that's floating around and out there, I've just been marinating on this, and it's like, I don't think they're going to be exclusive. I mean, everybody's saying, oh, it's like you don't pay $67 billion or you don't pay $3.6 billion for it to be on another platform. Well, put it on the other platform, but then have that exclusive content, like with Destiny or say, maybe Microsoft with Call of Duty, where
it matters.
Yes. A lot of it will be on Game Pass day one. A lot of it will probably be on whatever Spartacus becomes day one, and that exclusive content will be on there. Whereas the other, like Microsoft, wouldn't be able to get, the exclusive content from Destiny, or, PlayStation wouldn't be able to get the exclusive content from Call of Duty, So.
Yeah. Exclusivity seems to matter less and less as the Game Pass model really becomes more ubiquitous, right? Your streaming services, because if you look at like the upcoming Plague Tale Requiem, right?
Yeah,
it's gonna launch into Game Pass. I mean, like, why would I buy it elsewhere? I mean, because I already have Game Pass. Like, obviously, if I don't, maybe, and I just want to buy it, whatever, I get it. Like, there's reasons why you wouldn't. But there's 25 million subscribers to Game Pass who are that they can just play it and they don't have to worry about buying it. And maybe they will because they feel like it, whatever. A lot of people do that. They still do. You still have that option to buy. But, you look at
I'll probably buy it for the Steelbox edition.
Not every game. Burly. Certain games. I've been better.
I know, I'm just kidding.
That's the thing, as you grow older and you grow the space, like, I don't want to swing my laptop around because you would say, I have a lot of like collector's editions here at my parents that they just eat up a lot of space. So I'm being smarter and buying the ones that I really want.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, because people are buying physical media less and less. And yeah, people are buying digital media, but like I personally don't care much about buying digital. So when I look at Game Pass and subscription services, like I prefer that over buying digital because I'm not owning anything anyway when I own digital, right? Like it's not a thing I'm holding in my hands. I don't feel like I got anything. It's like, it really doesn't mean anything. It's on a server somewhere. It could be taken away from me just as much as it could be taken away from me on Game Pass.
Well, yeah, as soon as you quit your subscription, it's gone.
Or they take like, games off all the time. That you've had that happen.
Yeah, what I meant, like digital sales versus that, right? Because I mean, yes, you could have them downloaded and continue to play them, but there are certain situations where you still have to like prove that license after a certain amount of time anyway. So again, there's always a caveat to that. What's funny is like if you're in Target, right, and you go into the movie section and you can find, I saw like Cobra Kai season 3 in the store, and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't even realize, I forgot that like Netflix shows actually do get released and you could buy them. But because the service is so ubiquitous, people don't care. That's just how they consume it now. And that is probably going to happen with games, but you will still be able to buy them as always. Day one. That's the difference. The one big difference is that you can always buy it day one if you want.
Well, and then there's people like me who live on a small island country where there's not much space, and when it comes to buying physical copies of discs, it becomes a space issue. So, I mean, that's for me personally. I got out of buying games about 3 years ago because I don't have enough space to have all these disc boxes all over the place. So, yeah, I mean, I've been purchasing digital only now for the past 3 years or so. So, yeah.
In Canada, it used to be here digitally on PlayStation up till last year. You saved money. You didn't hit the 13% tax. So games retail brand new $79 here plus your tax, so it's over $90. So on PlayStation, I was buying digital because it was like I spend $79 or I spend $90. Let's think this over. Yeah. But now that they've done that, but now here in our country, GameStop is, because they're not doing well, and they are just like, for the new games, they're really doing heavy trade-in values and stuff like that, because they just want to get people into the store. Right. So they're either boosting trade-in values of older games just to get people in, or you can take games that are a few years that are worth not that much, because I've taken games that are worth maybe about $10. You get 3 $10 games that pays, it's an instant pays for Elden Ring and stuff like that. So for me, like physical right now is a little bit better because I have the physical disc and I can use it if a few years down the road I don't want to keep this, but it's still worth some money to me.
Right.
You can trade it in, get something.
Right.
Get a new game.
Yeah. Well, we used to have a lot of places like that here in Japan, like called Book Off, and Tsutaya is another example where people could go and sell their used copies of games and stuff. But those types of stores, those brick and mortar stores, are starting to disappear now. So
and this more and more people only applies to physical too. And as you can see with the numbers, I think it's like 60-something% digital sales now.
Yeah,
it's like it has way overtaken. It's like you can't resell your digitals, so it doesn't mean anything anymore that you can resell something, like, or that they retain some sort of value. And that's why I think they've lost value. Like, are there any 360 PS3 era games that if you were to sell on eBay would be worth a lot at this point?
It's the very few ones that had either no online, that had no digital store sale, which was very few, or the ones that got like that they had them, but they had to be taken off, like the Street Fighter versus Capcom, one of those. got taken off. It was a PS3, Xbox 360. It had to it got delisted for a while. I can't remember if it went back up. Eventually, stuff like that will always be worth a lot physically because it got delisted. So if you want it, and there are just some other like fighting games that I know that I wanted to pick up, but you can't pick them up digitally. They got delisted because of licensing. So physically, you look at the discs and they're stupidly, insanely overpriced.
Yeah. Okay, let me throw one last question at you guys for this topic of the show.
We gotta get back to it.
Thanks, Carl.
Yeah,
we are. Acquisition wars now. How long do you think it will take for social media and the media in general, the games media, to get over this fixation on the console war and to finally realize that, hey, the console wars are dead. This is going to be an acquisition war to what kind of subscription service is going to be the best? Burly, what do you think of that?
They're not going to get over it. If they get over it, it'll be like a 5 to 10 years. Because you know what? A lot of these game sites, they're making you make the big thing, console war in your headline. It's all about the clicks. That's all their articles are. A lot of these gaming journalist sites are all clickbait. You click them, you get one sentence of what's actually relevant, and the other 100 sentences or whatever the amount are in the article are just BS fluff piece crap, just to make it look like they have a lot. Like you go reading a lot of it, and it's like you're posting this just to have, because you want to be first access and first up there, just to say, hey, we got this out first. Let's get the clicks. Let's get our banner ads. Let's get all this and that and this and that, because that's all how they make it.
Yeah. But with the console war idea, it's still intrinsically tied to the acquisition war, because at the moment, all that really matters when people see this is it going to be exclusive to a PlayStation or Xbox? That's what people are really caring about. Like, people don't like it, let's say, when Tencent buys something because of, let's say, the cultural, social aspect of the Chinese company owning it, right? Or who else? But see, okay, nobody says a peep when like Embracer Group buys something. They bought so many, and they're buying smaller studios that most people aren't really caring too much about. But it doesn't matter as much because nothing changes. Like, okay, someone else owns this company now. Like, all right, what is that? How does that change for me as a consumer? It doesn't. Whereas buying it, like Microsoft buying a studio, that changes for the consumer because, I assume all Activision Blizzard games will be exclusive to, console exclusive to the Xbox, with the only exception of maybe Call of Duty going forward. But then also the streaming service now comes into it, as we talked about. Those games become part of that streaming service, which is very important because that's the same thing. It's really a content war, right? Yeah. When it comes to your Netflix and your Hulu and Disney Plus, it's what content do you have exclusive that matters, right? To you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the subscription service that has the most content is going to prevail. So, yeah. Definitely.
And Sony, look, when they want to, at any point, I said this before on another show, that they can pull that trigger and they can make their streaming service huge. Absolutely huge. They just put those first-party games on their day and date. I mean, everyone's going to run them by the service. And they can start outbidding Microsoft on, and you think that sounds stupid, but like, because they don't have as much money. But they can outbid Microsoft in a sense that if they want to get a third-party game on their service, the third-party company might say, well, PlayStation has the bigger player base, so we want more people there.
Yeah.
We're going to take your money, even though, and Microsoft might not want to pay that much money for something because they don't see that value, that's actually where the war is going to get pretty dicey.
Yeah.
You know, once PlayStation starts grabbing third-party exclusive, games, not exclusive, but exclusive to a streaming to their service.
Yeah. The key, though, just like you were saying earlier, though, the key is getting the first-party titles day one onto the service. If PlayStation does that, boy, oh boy, then we got a war. Then we got a battle. Because, I mean, that PS4 player base of 110 million or so, I could see at least 70 to 75% of that base going to their subscription service.
Well, imagine if it launched with
if it's a day one.
I was going to say, sorry for interrupting, but imagine if they launched with God of War Ragnarok with the service, because that's going to be cross.
Yeah.
That would be insane. The numbers would just shoot up, like
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even matter. Like, there's you don't even need to launch it with us, because you can launch it and just say, here's all our old first-party stuff is already on there, and then when the next one comes out, you get that.
Day one.
It's just going to sell. It's just going to work. Yeah. And it's funny is that you got all these people out there who are fighting me on Twitter saying like, no, I would rather buy my $60 games. I want to buy all my $60 games. I'm like, and I guarantee you this person, if PlayStation made the equivalent service, they're going to sign up for that service. Like maybe they still buy their games. I'm not going to say that they're going to stop buying games. Yeah. But they're going to want that service. They're going to pay for it because it's such a good value. You'd be silly not to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are some gamers out there that they only are into one or two particular series of games. And it's like, I don't really care about all those other games that they throw up there on their service. I mean, there are gamers like that out there, but I think probably in the minority, so, but yeah.
I mean, Game Pass doesn't make sense if I'm going to buy one $60 game and play that for, several months and nothing else.
Or if you're like just like an MMO gamer and like you're just playing the Elder Scrolls for like, thousands of hours, so
for you to play stuff, of course, like then it doesn't really matter.
Fortnite.
Yeah. But I mean,
Apex.
Back to the title, Acquisition Wars. I mean, the acquisition makes so much sense from a streaming perspective. That's a huge, huge value in that coming, fight that we're going to have when we find out what PlayStation says their service is.
I think it's coming sooner rather than later. I think we're going to see what it's going to be called before the summer. That's just just my
I think we'll get more
before E3.
I was going to say just before E3, we'll get the
E3's dead.
Well, yeah,
E3's dead. E3 digital, No,
that's dead too. They killed that.
When?
This year. It's already. They said they're not doing a digital E3 already.
When did they say that?
I forgot when, but they said it.
Okay. I'll take your word, Carl. I mean, but I know Jeff Keighley's going to do something.
Well, he does that.
Yeah, Keighley. Here. E3.
He does the indie stuff before E3. Yeah. So you'll
it's opening night live or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
wait, no, that's not the story on that. I don't remember where they said
I was going to say, I don't remember them saying canceling E3. I think there's no in-person one, they said.
Well, the physical conference has been canceled again because of COVID or whatever.
That's for sure, right.
Yeah, but the digital events, like, Microsoft, they're going to have their digital event again like they did last year, I'm sure. And, Bethesda will be a part of Microsoft. Activision will probably be a part of Microsoft's show, maybe. I don't know.
Well, now you got something extra show for Sony.
But that's a topic for another time.
And you got Bungie stuff for Sony?
Yeah, I don't think they officially announced it yet. I think Jeff Grubb, obviously he has good sources, said something about this being canceled.
Well, I was going to say by April we'll know a little bit more about Spartacus. By April we'll know a little bit more, whether it be the full thing and we get the name, but Sony's E3 stuff, when they do their big state of play, you'll know then. You will know then I would imagine they will just, because they'll be like, they'll show off their games, God of War, Destiny, and all their other stuff. Maybe a little Spider-Man 2 more and Wolverine, but
PSVR 2, whatever. So
who knows? Because Sony's done with their state of plays. They're still doing that. How bad they did with this one.
Yeah.
Hey, they could dedicate one full state of play to their new streaming service.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Okay. So what I was looking at, it's not official, but it's a rumor out there that basically the current digital show is a mess of what they're trying to put together, and that it's likely to be canceled.
Okay.
And it makes a lot of sense when you look at last year's E3 digital event, which I think, was pretty poor. Like Microsoft's basically was the only one who showed up, and what everyone else was like, Capcom was like, look, here's stuff we already announced. You can cool. You already there wasn't anybody else who had really big significant things tied to E3. And that's
Microsoft won E3,
and then Ubisoft gave us Avatar, right, Burly?
Right, gave us Avatar and the Division. Not the Division, Tom Clancy's Extraction or whatever that game was, where we spent 30 seconds talking about it, and then the rest of it we were just talking random shit. Well,
speaking of that Avatar game, it's supposed to be coming out this year, but it's who knows,
the first of the 17 Avatar sequel movies.
Yeah,
and
then all the other games that have never seen the light of day. Like Beyond Good and Evil 2, Skull and Bones.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 is gone, so is Skull and Bones.
Oh, yeah.
That's dead.
Yeah, okay.
I still think Skull and Bones is going to happen. I think they've just put that back in the oven. But I think Beyond Good and Evil 2 was like, it was never a game. It was just... It was a concept
just
that
they were
building. Yeah, it was a thing that they were building, and they're like, "What's it going to be? I don't know. We're working on it. We're building it." They had that whole thing where they're like, "Hey, you guys, why don't you tell us what you want?" There was like a whole website thing where you can like be involved in like the development. I was like, "Why? Why is it no? Like this is a AAA game. Stop."
Yeah. We have no idea what we're doing with this.
Well, speaking of games that are actually coming out. It's time to talk about our new game releases for the week of February 7th through the 13th. And of course, you can check this out at the website releases.com. So myself and Burly and Carl, we give our pick of the week. So I'm going to give my pick first here. So my pick of the week, it's coming out on February 9th for the PlayStation and PS4 and PS5. On the 9th, but it comes out on Xbox Series X, Series S on the 11th. It's called Unbound, Worlds Apart. So I'm going to read you the description to it now. Unbound is an atmospheric 2D puzzle platformer where the main character, Soli, can conjure magic portals to travel between different realities in order to learn more about the catastrophe that ravaged his world. Inside certain portals, the physical properties of the character or world elements can change, offering new gameplay possibilities. Kind of reminds me of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, kind of in a sense, huh, Burly? Where you're going through all these rifts. But in this game, you're going through, all these different portals and traveling through different realities. So anyway, for PC, PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, PS5 versions on the 9th, Xbox versions on the 11th. So that's my pick of the week. So Burly and Carl, what are your picks this week? I'll let you guys decide who's going to read the description because I think you guys have the same game this week. What is it?
It's called Edge of Eternity, and Burly, if you want to read it, you can. It's fine. You stole it from me, you little thief over here.
Hey! I've been wanting to play this on PC. I have had this in my Steam wish list for years. I've been waiting for a good enough sale price to drop it, but thankfully, Game Pass is happening. So yeah, I'll read the description. In a world torn apart, the people of Hirion pursue a desperate war against the mysterious invader. As this conflict of opposing magic and technology grows to cataclysmic proportions, a new threat emerges from the battlefield. Wage epic turn-based battles as you follow Darren and Celine in their quest to find a cure to the all-consuming Coruscant. It's coming Thursday, February 10th to PC, PS4, PS5. I think the Switch is later, and then Xbox One and Xbox Series. But it is coming to Game Pass, so it's going to be nice that I can play this either on my Series S or PC. It's coming to both Game Passes.
Yeah, Burly, it says the upcoming Switch release date in the US and the UK is confirmed for Wednesday, February 23rd.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, this is one that I've been looking forward to for a long time. Also, ever since they showed it at one of the, I think it was maybe the ID at Xbox events or something like that. Where they showed it in one of the like montages or something, and it was part of it's going to be on Game Pass, and I was like, oh, I got to check out what this game is, because it looks like, Final Fantasy. That's the thing. But like what I want Final Fantasy to continue to be, which is like, Final Fantasy 7, 8, 10, that sort of generation. Yeah. And this looks like, Lost Odyssey, right, as well, which isn't, from the Final Fantasy creator, in that vein of like, we're doing that style of game, like fully 3D worlds, turn-based combat, sort of like rich mix of technology and magic. And like, this is, I hope it's really good. It's indie developer, small, so I can't expect it to be, as high a quality as those games, but yeah, it looks nice.
Another game that's coming out, Burly, I'm kind of surprised you're not going to try this out of day one. On February 8th, Sifu, which was delayed previously. Now it's coming out on the 8th for PlayStation 5. And what do you think of that one?
That one looks interesting. That's more, I have to spend money and I'll wait on that kind of thing. I'll wait on other people trying it out. I'm interested in the game because they showed it off at so many PlayStation events. It's just I just paid for Pokemon. Yeah. I've got to pay for Horizon, and we got Elden Ring, Strangers of Paradise, and Kirby. So it's like some games have to get left behind, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and of course, Horizon Forbidden West, on the 18th. That's the big one. So for this month, for me at least, I know for you too, Burly. Yeah. So, yeah. And Carl, I know you would be playing it if you had your PS5, but
yeah. I do want to play it. I just, I'm happy that I can kind of not do that, because it's a big game, and like it's hard for me to play a large game right now. Like it would take me so long to get through. Yeah, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Like I was playing that for a long time because I can only play so much per day. So I feel like I was playing the game for like 2 months almost. I don't know. Same thing with Octopath Traveler when that came to Game Pass.
Well, that's why you got to separate your time from State of Decay 2 and kind of put that aside now, and then you'll have more time to play those other games.
I only played like an hour of it. Okay, I didn't know what I wanted to play, and I'm like, give me some comfort food, and I just
right. Okay, so next up, Carl, the Game Pass Passageway. We have some games coming out. You talked about one of them that's come out, and I talked about one at the beginning of the show. Telling Lies is one of the games that came out for Game Pass to begin the month of February. And of course, you talked about Contrast. So what are some of the other games that are coming to Game Pass in February?
I guess I'll skip a bunch of them because we've already talked about, but I'll do the release dates. Contrast is February 3rd. So it's already out. Dreamscaper, we talked about last week, already out. Yeah. Telling Lies, again, already out. Besiege, we talked about last week as well. That is on the 10th. And then Edge of Eternity, also on the 10th. And then the other ones we haven't mentioned, we have Crossfire X coming the 10th. which I'm surprised. Like, this is actually already coming, like on the 10th. It's on Game Pass. It says play the first Crossfire X single player campaign, Operation Catalyst, developed in partnership with Remedy Entertainment. Take control of a global risk unit as they traverse through enemy territory to save their captured teammate and uncover the dark secrets of the Blacklist mercenary group. That was supposed to be kind of a big thing, but I feel like previews kind of made it look like it's not going to be that great. Unfortunately. Then you got Skull, the Hero Slayer, on February 10th. It's a fast-paced action roguelite where losing your head is encouraged, featuring 100 playable characters, each with their own unique abilities and a ton of items that create wild synergies. Battles are as electrifying as they are challenging. The Last Kids on Earth and the Staff of Doom, February 10th. For time purposes, I'm going to just not read any more of these descriptions, but you got Ark Ultimate Survival Edition on February 14th, which is a free-to-play game, but this is the Ultimate Survival Edition, so I'm assuming giving you a bunch of content. Right. And then Infernax on February 14th.
Okay.
As a whole, this is probably one of the weaker Game Pass drops, I would say. Not that there aren't interesting, good-looking games in here. And, of course, they do 2 drops usually a month, so we should one more in February.
Yeah, probably towards the end of the month, we'll get another batch of games.
Yeah,
probably.
Because they've got only up to the 14th, so, you know, the second half of the month.
Maybe they'll put Dying Light 2
could see more. And
yeah.
I feel like that's kind of sailed on if that's coming right now, because if you were to do that, like, you would have let it launch, right?
Yeah.
It would have made more sense. So now if it's going to come, maybe it'll come like somewhere down the road, maybe next month.
Yeah.
I'm still going with like, do it, man. Do Elden Ring. Just do it. Just do it.
You know that ain't gonna happen. It's wishful thinking, I think. Yeah, that would be cool. But yeah,
I mean, the money. If they want the money, I don't see why. You know, if Bandai Namco as the publisher, I assume, is the one you have to talk to.
Yeah, but
you hit them with enough cash.
You kind of think a lot of people are going to be playing that on PlayStation. So if you put it on Game Pass day one, you know, you'd steal a lot of those PlayStation, you know, people that might also have an Xbox that would play it on Game Pass.
Not necessarily. You could still quite a bit, but it's just because there are so many diehard Sony fanboys that will just buy it on PlayStation just to spite.
Yeah.
Because there are people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fanboys and fangirls.
Yeah. I'd have to say, I don't think there's any bad side to it for them, because so many people have pre-ordered this game. And if it came to Game Pass day one, I don't think a significant percentage of them would cancel their pre-order, because the kind of people who want that game want to own it. They're not going to care that it's on Game Pass, and it's only going to be on Game Pass for a limited time, right? So to them, they're just gonna keep their pre-order wherever they got it. But you're gonna get a larger audience of people like me who I'm not really into that type of game, but I would definitely play it day one. If it was on Game Pass, I want to see what it's all about. Maybe I would like it. Who knows?
Yeah. For the lore, for the story,
well, definitely not the story.
Backdrop, and the characters.
Lore, baby.
Yeah.
There's characters in those games.
There is character and there's some story. It's more lore based. From my small exposure of it, it's all about the lore and the stuff you write in your head and stuff.
Yeah. I guess I would say there's characters. I don't know if there's personalities in the game.
Yeah. All right. So that's the Game Pass passageway. Oh, I just want to say too, Control is actually leaving the service soon. So please, if you haven't played Control before, I highly recommend it. It's from the makers of Alan Wake. Download it before it leaves and give it a try. So
a number of actually things we're leaving.
Yeah, there's some other games. What are they, Carl?
I'm bringing it up back again real quick here because it was funny because there was some article that really poorly titled saying the best games are leaving Game Pass. I'm like, no, a couple of good ones are leaving. Relax, man.
Yeah, well,
Control, Code Vein, Final Fantasy 12, The Zodiac Age, The Medium, Project Winter, and The Falconeer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty significant
batch. I would say
list.
Control and The Medium are the two best ones on
that. I know your thoughts on The Falconeer.
Code Vein, I mean,
that.
Code Vein's good too.
Oh, the Falconeer.
Oh god, that game, yeah.
Final Fantasy 12 is a big game. I personally don't like Final Fantasy 12.
12.
Yeah, tried to play it twice, and it's
12 is a good story, but the compact gameplay. Once you set up your gambits well, all you are is running to the next dungeon and stuff for story. That's the thing. 12, I really like the stories. You got your Star Wars comparisons and all that you can make with 12, but gameplay, to make it hard or actually a game, you have to turn it to like the turn-based kind of system and not use the gambits.
Yeah, it's very auto battle.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so it's time for our announcements for our Patreon and the podcast. On our Patreon at patreon.com/thearena_podcast. Of course, our Star Wars Republic series has Chapter 6 for the Book of Boba Fett out on our YouTube channel now. And we're going to be recording the final episode of supposedly the first season of the Book of Boba Fett this coming week. So stay tuned for that on Patreon for all of you patrons. And then, for the podcast, of course, The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast morning show. Of course, Burly and I, we do on weekday mornings, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please come and check that out on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. So, we do that. So, it's time to tell everybody where people can find us on social media. So you can find me on Twitter at expat_gamer, as well as on my link tree that has all of my links to social media. That's linktr.ee/expat_1. So, Carl, where can people find you on social media, man?
I'm just on Twitter at Turnbased Carl.
Cool.
Let's talk about Game Pass. Game Pass.
Yeah. Game Pass.
Is it viable? Is it profitable?
No.
Is it? Are they selling games at a loss?
Or you can ask him anything about State of Decay 2 on that. He'll be your guide for that.
Yeah.
Oh, please. If you have questions, I have answers.
Or the future game that's going to take up most of Carl's life, Triangle Strategy, right? Yeah.
I'm very excited. I'm like, my Switch is gonna. I gotta charge that thing. It's somewhere dead. Yeah.
All right, Burly, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Burlyman Gaming. You can also find me as I am a Twitch streamer on twitch.tv/Burlyman Gaming, and you can also find me on streamloots.com/Burlyman Gaming, so you can interact with stream. Currently, I have an awesome little Pokemon deck where you can make me wear a Gengar hat for a half hour and do other little challenges to make the game so much more fun and difficult for me and interact more with the stream. So.
Nice. Cool. And I just want to let all you listeners and viewers know that this week, because I had some technical issues on my side before we were able to record this episode. So due to time constraints, unfortunately, we're not going to be doing the post show this week. So the post show will return next week. Most likely we will let you know. So, apologies for that. But anyway, because of time constraints, there will be no post show this week. Okay. So anyway, to end the episode, our indie recording artist spotlight. This week's spotlight is on Guest House. Guest House is an energetic cocktail of break beats, fuzzy synths, and funky horns that will have you breaking it down before you know it. An eclectic and colorful explosion with a groove like theirs, no rules apply. It's a dance like nobody's watching kind of attitude. From their album titled Anything You Want, and the song is called Just the Way You Like It. This has been The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast, episode 72. I've been your host, Expat, along with my co-hosts, Burly of Burlyman Gaming on Twitch, and turn-based Carl. We hope to catch you in the next one. So take care, everyone. Peace out.
Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown. Order up that beat just like it's takeout. Show me you got soul inside those new shoes, and you can rock and roll with an attitude. So good, so fresh, just the way you like it. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. You're the new MC, you got the remix. Keep it on repeat, just let the beat kick. Everywhere you go, you bring the roof down. Everybody knows you got your own sound. So good, so fresh, just the way you like it. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Yeah, you like it, the way you like it. Oh, yeah, you like it, the way you like it now. Yeah, you like it, the way you like it. Oh, so good, so fresh. Get up on your feet. Show me you got soul. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown.